People said always, you were so brave to go to India, and I said I wouldn't have survived if I would have stayed. So lucky me that the hippies came and parked their cars and their trucks and had festival 10-minute walk from my house. Peace, love, and understanding, we need it then and now and in the future. And you can put whatever you want into each one of those words, but they're potent. So if that's what hippies stands for, hippies is a great thing. Yeah. This is my mom's album, and she saved every picture and every letter I have. So here she writes that I made this long skirt, my first long skirt. I've lived with being too much, and people have thought of me and wanted me not to be too much all my life. And it's been very, very painful. When I was in first, second grade or something like that, and you have to sit still in class and be quiet and follow the teacher. And I remember one day when the teacher came and stood over me, I felt like this big shadow, and she just, it was a very intimidating situation, the way she really wanted me to sit still and be quiet. That was the essence of school for me. We have to perform and we have to do tests, and you're not asked to be creative, you're not asked what you want to do, you're not asked. You are just told. And also when I looked at the adult world around me, I didn't see anything that I wanted. Nothing. 7th, 8th, 9th grade, that's when I started listening to Jimi Hendrix and went home with my best friend, and we smoked dope at the lunch break. My mom, she was terrible at setting boundaries, which is both good and bad. My father was the other way. You have to stay at the table, you have to finish your food, you have to sit, and she said, you guys can go. So there was always tension there. At the end of the school year in 1972 was the first World Climate Conference, and that brought people from all over the world. I skipped the last week in school and I hung out with hippies from all over the world. 5-minute walk through the forest from where I lived. I just turned 17. God, and the hippie place was like, there was caravans and there was tents and there was music and there was people just hanging out on the lawn. Men and women and children all mixed up everywhere. So it's a very loving, relaxed, open, everybody says hello to you. There's nothing to fit into. All of the stuff that I found strict and square and, school and jobs and all the stuff that that was so painful for me was non-existent there. And one evening I was going home and some kids were harassing me, and then somebody came and said, "She's with me." And that was Graham, and he later became the father of our son. He walked me home, and then we met the next day, and then we hooked up. And he actually came and stayed the night. I had my own room in the basement. God, he scared the shit out of my mother because he went to the bathroom in the morning and she was coming down the stairs, and he said good morning, and she goes, "Who are you?" And she's going off to school because she was a teacher. Anyway, she came home a half an hour later and wondering what the hell was going on. But anyway, so we hung out, and he said, "Why don't you come to Amsterdam for the summer?" He bought a Mercedes bus. They took out all the seats, so they put in a gas stove, all the panels. Amsterdam flea market was world famous. So you go there and you buy carpets. So they put carpets in on all the panels on the sides, velvet curtains, beds, kitchen, back bunk, and they were going to India. So I wrote my parents, I sent the poem from Khalil Gibran, "Your children are not your children," which says that the parents are the stable bow and the children are the arrow, and we cannot even follow them into the future. And we should never make them like us. The train from Stockholm to Amsterdam, and then down through Germany, and Switzerland was incredible. It was Yugoslavia at the time, Greece, Turkey, Iran, and that's where the border was into Afghanistan. And Kabul is all the way over there, right? And I got pregnant in the back bunk of that bus. We arrived across the border into Afghanistan, and we stayed in Kabul, I think, 3 months. And Afghanistan and Kabul at that time was very different from what you read in media today. I always felt comfortable. I always felt safe. I mean, I was never harassed in Afghanistan, ever. There was so much openness. The women are all going to the universities. They have short skirts and high heels. They have their big shawls hanging off their back of their heads. Very beautiful. The Afghani nomads, the Kuchis, they have long, I mean, all embroidered, very beautiful clothing. And then we went south. We were heading for Goa, obviously. That's where all the hippies went. It was Goa. Greetings from the Yes bus. My goodness. We arrived yesterday, and today we're naked, and the waves are 2 to 3 meters high. There's palm forest everywhere, and people in India are the sweetest, calmest people I've ever met. We spent the time on the beach, we hung out, we swam, we took walks. You go to the nearest town and you do shopping. And we bought jewelry and clothes and stuff from Afghanistan, and I bought cloth. And I already started sewing there.
tänkt här?
Nej, jag hade tänkt då. Okej. Ja, men det finns ju lite säkert här.
Vad är den andra rosa?
Vilken rosa?
Jag vill ha det.
Här kommer Manjari. Min senaste kjol och en ullkappa från amerikanska armén. Filtar är det.
Ja. Nej, den var inte bra. Den där då? Nej, men den andra var bra. Nej. Nu är jag själv.
But I always felt that I was missing something. It was not just enough to just hang out all day long. I was wondering, why don't we start growing things together? Why don't we build something more? Why don't we do more things together with other people? I wanted really something more community, more doing things together, more building something that was worthwhile and also maybe long-term sustainable somehow. This was not what I was looking for. This is where I write about how Graham and I had been arguing a lot and that we actually split up. We talked all day and all night, and we cried and we said goodbye, and we really acknowledged each other's, honored each other, our son, and all of that together. It was a beautiful process and a very honest and honorable and respectful departure from each other. Somebody had showed me a book, Bhagwan, he was called then, and one night when he was 21, he was inside and he felt like he was filled up with some energy that he couldn't contain, that he had to go outside, and he went out. And then something happened to him that he called enlightenment, that he felt like the identity that he had before that somehow disappeared. That really drew me. So one day I was in Bombay, I walked out to the little hotel that was onto the street, and the lady who actually lent me the book for the first time a year before, she stopped her taxi right on the street and she says, "I'm going to Pune, why don't you come?" I'm going, okay, I guess we are. What I heard about the community in Pune was that it was a community. It wasn't just, a temple or a monastery, or there was more going on. We went to the ashram in the early morning. It was very quiet, it was misty, there was no people around. We were let in, we sat in the park or in the garden by a little fountain, and then people came out and they had just been sitting and listening to Osho, and they were like, I felt like, these people, whatever I see in their eyes, I want that. These are pictures from the ashram. So we had our outdoor eating area, we had our own restaurant, our own bakery. This is the meditation hall. This is a big room in the house that he used to use. It's all marble, it's a round circle. You see that's the lights in the ceiling. And here is a map of the whole place. This is what it looked like in the evening. Everybody was sitting in their white robes. It was a functioning community. I mean, we had the kitchen, which served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We had the handyman, and they built stuff, and there were the mala shop, and somebody was doing pottery, and somebody's creating instruments, and we had archery, so it's called Zen archery. I mean, all of it had to do with meditation. One of my favorite quotes that I've heard Osho say is that if you are 100% present in what you do, that's when meditation appears. That is meditation. I got a new name. Jivan Kavya means life poetry. Jivan is actually a male name, but it's also in Hindi it means life, like we have in Swedish liv. And in that moment when he spoke about that, I felt like I was seeing to the beginning of time.
Meningsfullt också, ja. Ja, för alltså, de bränner ju upp så mycket. Det är ju så kul. Nej, de gör det!
Jag har ju tänkt så här, men återvinning, vad är det? Men när det är
ja, men nu kom det en lag som ändå är kopplen. Ja, det är klart. Nu kommer det vara tajt. Och näst på tur har vi då Vida i en julig, rutig, lång, svajande kjol. Eva skapar kläder för alla kvinnokroppar utav tyger som blivit kvar från företag som lägger ner eller har rester från tidigare kollektioner. Det ger på så vis inga signaler till industrin om att öka produktionen, utan hon använder bara upp det som finns.
I never buy new stuff. This is bought from people who gone bankrupt. It's bought with trading, so it's all recycled. I mean, sustainability is something, from seed to finished garments and beyond that. But it's also about clothes that last, that are made from good materials, that actually the stitches are good, they don't break, you can mend. There's a huge thing all over the world to mend your things and to do that in the right way. You look at the Japanese and they have beautiful ways of mending. They've been made in the kimonos for centuries. This is the only picture I have of myself on the ranch. That's another story, that we built the city in 4 years. I have no idea who took the decision to move to America, but suddenly we didn't. One day I was asked if I wanted to be one of the groups that went to America, and I said yes. We were in the phase of trying to look for land, so right at that time they found some in the central Oregon, which was it's a highland desert, so it was like very overgrown and overgrazed, but it was huge, 64,000 acres. I don't know what that is, but it was big. Which in 4 years, we had the downtown mall, we had cafeteria, we had grew our own food with solar panels. We planted 1 million trees. Birds and all kinds of animals came back to the land, so we greened the whole area, really. We had our own school. For the teenagers, we called School Without Walls. It was also incorporated in the American school system, where the kids were part of the daily life. They learned counting when they were building houses, or, we had a few hours every week where they did theoretical stuff, but otherwise they were just part of the community. And the smaller ones went to regular school, and we did that in a town nearby called Antelope. But now you won't believe it. This last month, I have and am in the school in Antelope. I work in the school as a teacher's assistant, ! Pramada is the most wonderful human being, so mature and understanding. He goes in 4th grade and he's going to be 10 in a month. Please remember to send him something. Hello, Abba.
Hello.
Can I see more of your face?
The background of it?
No, that's good. Fine. You look lovely.
More of my face.
Yeah. What do you remember? But where did you work, by the way? Did you work in the barn?
We were delivering fruit to all the different departments in a van. And
No, that's nice.
The guy Yeah, and he let me drive the van, so I was...
How old were you?
I couldn't reach the pedals, so I could steer, and he would do the pedals.
How old were you then?
I don't know, maybe 9, 10,
Right.
9.
Yeah. And
I
you
remember horrible things as well from the ranch, but wonderful things as well.
what was horrible?
The power tripping was horrible.
Yeah, that was horrible for everybody.
So yeah, we'd have these kids meetings. We would all sit, and then Sheila and Julian would sit at the head, and we'd all sit around them kind of in a circle.
Yeah.
And then one time, he really dug into me. He was like giving me shit for leading astray newcomers, new kids. Called me the ringleader.
Oh God. Yes, Pramada, the ringleader.
Yeah. And I
Jesus.
started crying, and then he had me come up and sit on his lap and pretend to comfort me, but actually just made it worse.
Yeah. Okay, love.
I love you so much.
I love you. When I watched the Netflix movie, I found it incredibly well made, and I cried when I saw how we treated the people at Oslo. And I've been wanting to write letters, but it feels like ages ago, and I don't even know if anybody's still alive from that time, but we treated them like shit. But also this was a plan of Sheila. She goes, have sex, open your windows, make it really loud, disturb them as much as possible. It's like, why? Why aren't we peaceful? Why don't we try to get along with people? Sheila was in between Osho and the community. She was the one who created the them and us situation. I mean, who needed that? We could have had a completely different relationship with Wasco County, with the different councils around, with whoever took care of the laws around there. I have no idea what your plan was doing this. There was absolutely no excuse for it and no reason for it. But I'm also grateful because without her power and the way that she pushed people and the way she organized it, we wouldn't have done it without her. She was essential to the whole place also.
Do you have any regrets about any of this? Like, do you ever wish you just walked away from the whole thing?
I do not wish I walked away. I am forever grateful for everything. For having met Osho, having met all the people that I know today that were friends today. The whole experiment on the ranch, not an experiment, we built a whole city with 5,000 people living permanently in 4 years. And we were happy doing it. We had fun. And I miss that. What I'm walking away from is whatever organization has stagnated, what I find, that you have to do this every day. This is how a day looks like. This is what Osho said. And I'm more interested in your wisdom or my wisdom or just stop searching and go on about our lives and being present in the moment and enjoying life here now. I don't see how that's the most valuable thing that I've taken with me.
Thank you for watching. Campfire Stories is a community-supported film platform. What that means is that a bunch of people have come together to individually make small contributions that together make up the possibility for this production company to keep making films. If you want to consider the possibility of joining, go check out our Patreon page. Thank you so much.